Veni, Vini, Amari.
We came, we saw, we loved.
Welcome to the Partnership Vision Podcast,
where we discuss how to have a relationship full of unity, trust, fun, and fulfillment.
We'll be sharing the rewards of preparing yourself for your best partner and being your best for them.
I like everything about you. Everything about you.
Ask yourself, do I really have to? We can take this other way that won't be half as bad or half as dreadful and actually be able to be enjoyed. But we have to be mindful and open-minded to be able to see it. And that is something Shawn used as a tool to help me think back in the day. And I bet he has something to add on that.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that I had noticed back when Brandy was still under the bad influence of her captor and she was still in a really hard place, and there was, a lot of things she needed to learn about her own personal power and what she could do with her life and how much better she could make her own life just by having the right perspective. And one of those things that I consistently saw was that she had the obligation problem, the duty problem, that I have to do this, I've got to do that, I need to do this.
Good soldiers follow orders.
That's a Star Wars Clone Wars reference to anybody who gets that. So I noticed this, and I had just kind of broken free from that mindset myself and come to the realization, I was like, you know what? Is somebody going to shoot me if I don't do this thing? Am I going to be thrown in prison? Am I going to just drop dead because I didn't do it? Then I don't really have to do it, do I? So the reality is, why am I really doing this? And that forces you to deal with the motive, that forces to deal with and dig a little deeper. What is my motivation? What is the reason, and finding a positive reason, finding a positive value to the situation, or else uncovering the fact that really it's a valueless situation, that really you're just letting fear or letting, the tradition, the familiarity, this is what I've always done, the ritual of how you've done things. You're letting that control you when the reality is it's time to move on. It's time to do something that's different, something that's better. And that doesn't mean be drastic and just make sudden major changes, but notice where you need to make incremental shifts. And in some cases, yes, where, especially in a case where you are being held captive to the worst things that could possibly be going on in your life, simply because you've been conditioned to think, this is what I have to do, this is what I must do. You need to be able to question anything and everything. Not in, a crazy extreme kind of way where you're just, is anything real, but just letting yourself really look at it and analyze the situation. Is this something that I really want within me? Is this something that's really leading to the best? Am I doing this for good reason? And if you can question that, and it's a great kind of almost mnemonic device in a way, by saying, do I have to do this? I don't really have to do this, so why am I doing this? And so I would constantly put that to her when she'd be like, oh, I have to do this, or I've got to do, oh my goodness, I've got to do that. I'd be like, do you have to?
No, that used to get my goat. I'm telling you what. Oh. I love him for it, but at the time,
when you're so entrenched in that way of thinking, and I know because I was too. I mean, I can't throw any stones. It took some. I had to red pill myself out of it. I had to slap those words out of my own mouth first. And the result is, once you do deprogram yourself from that kind of thinking, you start becoming more intentional about life, and you don't just let your previous routines or other people's expectations or just whatever was your previous season of life that sets you on this current path. You don't let it control you anymore. You decide where you're going with your life.
Exactly. And because of past programming by various people that were really close to me over the years, family and otherwise, I used to fall into doing stuff when and however they wanted them done, regardless of the situation. I was just duty bound to be a good soldier. And I'm not trying to quote Star Wars here too, but it just kind of works. But I wasn't getting to think on my own. I was being told what to think, right? Whether that person really realized what they were doing or not, it was still conditioning. And now, after a lot of healing, a lot of inner healing, I tell you a lot. And it's been accelerated, so thank you, Lord, sincerely. I now have the rational mindset that I can and will do things my own way and not dropping what I really need to do at that time just because someone called me away. That was another thing, is I could be doing something really important that really honestly needed to be done at that moment, but somebody would call me either on the phone or from across the building or whatever, and I would drop whatever it is and just run, dropping my own responsibilities for somebody else's. And yes, sometimes if somebody just really has to have you at that time, then okay, there are those instances, but every time, that's not good and that's not right. You really have to take each situation by itself and make it
be more objective about it,
because there is balance in everything, and it can be found even when it looks like there isn't any. Which really, that also kind of leads into the fact that laughing off stress actually helps you get into a positive mindset, kind of like we were mentioning earlier. You're stressing out over something, but if something or someone can make you laugh, it's automatically not as bad.
It helps you break away from hyper-focusing and being so stuck on like just the excessive weight seemingly
like claustrophobia.
Of a situation. Yeah, and the reality is we assign too much weight to something that we're thinking, to something that we think we have to do, or just, whatever the situation may be, whatever it might involve, we give it too much of a weight upon ourselves emotionally and mentally until it's crushing us, because we've thought about it, we're going over and over and over and getting deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of that torment. It's self-torment is what worrying really is, and it's a negative meditation, and it makes it harder. But when you can laugh at something, you're seeing the absurdity. You're seeing how, I'm just a human on this rock doing my own little thing, one little ant among billions of others. There's so many other things that are going on right now. All the problems in the whole wide world. What is so bad about this one, really? Like, what's so terrible about this, really? And just a lot of times we do need to take things more lightly than we do. Very often we do take things too seriously. It's true that somebody can lack compassion and not care about what somebody else is going through, and that's wrong, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not giving the right kind of attention to a situation just because you're being lighthearted, just because you're laughing or remaining joyful or, turning to comedy in situations, because often what we need is to distance ourselves from these dark and heavy emotions, because who are we really helping just feeling bad about things? Oh, I feel really bad about that. Well, that's great. How does that solve the problem? How is it making anything any better? Like, if anything, what we all need is to be lifting each other up in our emotions. It's not helping anybody, you being sympathetic. Oh, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. That's not helping them. Oh, thank you. You're having a pity party together, but how has anybody really helped? And how has anybody strengthened for the situation? Caving into negative emotions isn't helping you. And so the reality is we do need to be lighthearted, and sometimes we just have to take a step back, take a breather, don't go deeper down that rabbit hole. Look at some absurdities, look at some abstract interpretations of things that are going on around you, and just laugh.
Absolutely. And that kind of it brings up the difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is that pity party where, oh, I'm so sorry. And empathy is where you can actually relate to that person and know kind of where that person is coming from. And then you're able to actually give them sound advice from experience and help them out of that situation, and then also throw in humor and actually balance it out and help that person out.
Yeah, it doesn't always mean just playing to somebody's victimhood and the way that they're feeling in the moment. Sometimes it might mean challenging them outside of where they're comfortable if that's what it takes for them to better their situation. Like what exactly you would have needed in their situation, whether you would have liked it or not, to the best of your ability, you help them. And it's not about you looking like the good guy. It's not about you making them necessarily happy with you in the moment, but that they are empowered to choose better for their own life, and that's the stance that we need to try to strike in our mindset needs to be one that we are empowering ourselves and others to do the best that we can in our own life. And being weighed down with heavy emotions and heavy feelings and just getting all intense into the situation and assigning way too much severity to the situation, giving it more gravity. You're making it out to be higher stakes, like it's life or death, when the reality is most things are not that severe. Most things are really not nearly as heavy as we are placing it upon ourselves when we just get deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole, especially here in the West, and in Western society. Our lives are so much easier than our ancestors were, and so much easier than people that are struggling in third world nations, or even here in the West. Yeah, we do sometimes deal with really hard situations, like someone whose loved one is dying of cancer, or they themselves are in a life and death struggle with an illness. We need to take those things into consideration and be proportionate. We can get things out of proportion. And that's what we need to be aware of about ourselves. Like, if you don't have a lot of problems, then your tendency is to take the few problems that you have and blow them out of proportion and think that they're more than they really are. But if you're somebody that has a lot of problems or a very big problem, then you actually have to kind of consider things on the relative scale of, well, this thing that I was concerned about before, that was really not that big of a deal. So we need to understand that and realize that a lot of times our pain threshold for things that we have to deal with can be way lower than the reality of what we're experiencing and what we're dealing with, and it can really interfere with a correct understanding of our power and potential to handle these situations. So we are constantly grappling with that, and we're always looking a lot of times for this equilibrium, this state of comfort, this state of not having problems, not having challenges. And that's, again, another mindset that we have to overcome, because challenges are always there in life. Everybody has problems. It doesn't matter how seemingly perfect their life is. They still have problems. They still have things that they struggle with, that they deal with. The question is, do they have the attitude that makes a huge problem and a pity party out of it? Or do they have an attitude that is taking on the challenge and that is dealing with all the things that come at them as opportunities and as a chance to grow and learn?
Exactly. We should be focused on why we're doing something. If you focus on why, that will get you through a lot of things, not just the situation surrounding the why. That's what clouds it. That's what clouds your vision, is being focused on the situation instead of your goal.
Yeah, rather than asking, why are these things happening to me, you should ask, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I responding the way that I am? What is the reason for my course of action in the midst of these things?
And going back to the fitness and health kind of topic, it takes dedication. You can't work out for 3 days and then have a lean and chiseled body. That's not going to happen. And you can't eat fast food or high carb or sugar or sugary things and work out and expect to have a nice, good, strong body. It takes commitment to a good diet according to your body type and regulated exercise throughout the week. It's part of a lifestyle where you choose it every day in order to achieve your personal goals. So sure, that workout may be hard on a certain day, or especially at the beginning, but every time that happens, ask yourself why you're doing it. Keep your eyes on the prize. And as mentioned earlier, mindset is a choice. And something that's new to me, Before this year, I didn't have much faith in my ability to switch my own mood. In some situations especially, I was caught in a cognitive quandary, where someone is trying to help talk me out of an upset or depressed mood and sincerely wanting my spirits lifted, but something inside me thought I was supposed to be miserable and that it wasn't okay to release myself from the weight of what was going on. All throughout all stages of my life, there has been someone that's negatively impacted me, and I'm sure you can probably identify your own. And that programming got deeply embedded and was built upon by other people, and I had a lot of people targeting me without exaggeration. And in every part of my life, there was at least 2 or 3 people that were after me, trying to tear me down for whatever reason. Adults and teenagers my age at that time or whatever, they targeted me at like bullies of all sorts of sizes and shapes. Thank you for joining us where the heart is heard.
Partnership Vision Ministries. Stay driven by love.
So you can wreck all the fear. You can check us out on Instagram at Partnership Vision Ministries.
Or on Facebook on Partnership Vision Ministries page.
And even Twitter at PVisionM. Y'all come back now, you hear?